What is up, my guys, and welcome back to the channel known as Azure. As always, I'm your most endearing host, Daniel. And before we get started, as always, we gotta get that YouTuber BS out of the way. If you like my content, you already know what to do. Any questions, you already know what to do. And if you want any way else to get to know me, you already know what to do. Everything will be in the description. Other than that, let's get to it. Today, we're gonna be diving into the world of comics, and especially because I literally just read a storyline that I really was not expecting to read. It's probably, as you can guess by the title, you already know it's gonna be about Maestro. If you guys don't know who Maestro is, he's an alternate version of the Hulk. He was created by Peter David and George Perez back in the early 90s, so about 1992, and he made his first appearance in the Incredible Hulk in the limited series Future Impact. Now, the thing about Maestro Hulk is that he's a bad guy. Like, he's a villain of the Hulk. Like, he's a future version of the Hulk, an alternate world version of the Hulk, but he's crazy. He suffers from too much radiation. He suffers from from megalomania in a sense. He's literally power hungry. Back in when we first saw him in Future Imperfect, it was described that he killed every single human, not every single human, my bad, every single superhero, so that he'd be the only one. And that's all because he was overexposed to more gamma radiation as time progressed and the Earth grew ever more so radiation filled. Now, that's what we saw in his first appearance. And to put even more in perspective, the Earth 616 Hulk, the main Hulk, was sent to that Earth where Maestro is. They fought and Hulk got his ass beat. He literally got his ass beat. Hulk is probably the strongest character in the Marvel Universe, excluding the Sentry and Hyperion. I'll get to those maybe in a future video if you guys want to or anything like that. So for someone to actually beat the Hulk, that is an accomplishment in and of itself. So just let that sink in for a minute. Maestro basically made his younger self, his alternate version of himself, his own bitch. That's all I gotta say. He made himself his own bitch. If that doesn't scream OP or alpha or any other type of things that makes you on top, I don't know what will. Okay. Anyways, the reason I want to get into it is that because as of 2020, he got his own origin series. Now, Peter David didn't really explain his origin in his appearance, and everyone wondered what his origin was, me included, as soon as I found out there was actually this version of the Hulk out there. So I didn't really expect to read it, mainly because it's sold out by the time I actually got to my comic book shop. But I put in a request to get a second printing, which is terrible in and of itself because no self-respecting comic book collector would ever want a second printing of a book. That's just terrible. But yeah, I read the first issue. I immediately was entranced with this. Like, the art style is pretty on point as per usual. The storytelling is very, very enticing, and just the concept of how like Maestro started to become to be is very interesting. I'm gonna talk throughout the whole series. I'm just gonna mainly focus on the first issue right now. So the first issue kicks off with Hulk and the Avengers defeating a villain. I'm not really sure who it was, but they beat a villain. I think it's one of the Sentinels from the X-Men franchise. I wasn't really sure, but we cut to Hulk going with his family, made his wife Betty Ross, his two kids. If you guys don't know who Betty Ross is, basically that's his love interest throughout the whole series. Her father's General Thunderbolt Ross, aka the Red Hulk, aka probably the most anger person there is. Like, I want to say aggressive. I want to say aggressive, most aggressive person there is, if there was a person towards the Hulk, because he hates the Hulk, like, no matter what. Ironic he became a Hulk. I'm just gonna let that be. Yeah. Then Banner starts to notice something odd. Mind you, this Banner and the Hulk have combined into a perfect being, basically. Like, it's always been a debate, like, who's in control of whether the Hulk is in control or whether Banner's in control of the Hulk's body. But in this world, they what's it called? They created this sort of symbiosis relationship, I guess. Symbiotic. I don't know. Well, either way, they made an agreement. Banner and the Hulk had reached an agreement. They create a whole new being, basically just called Hulk, and so on and so forth. Now I'm just gonna call him Banner for right now. Banner starts to see some inconsistencies in a sense where his kids say, "Oh, you're not real. Mom's not real. Mom's been dead. So is my brother. So is my other sibling. He's all dead." Then we cut to a few panels later where Hulk's in the Avengers Tower, and the Avengers try to calm him down and everything like that. Where we get a little nod to the MCU where Black Widow says, "Hey there, big guy, sun's getting real low." That line, that's just funny to say. Honestly, you could say that with a straight face. Props to you, but I can't. So yeah. All in all, it ends up being a simulation where the Hulk is trapped in an underground fortress under New York City, and he's basically been hallucinating for who knows how many years or so, long enough for him to outgrow his hair, start growing a beard in and of itself. And we find out that it's the last remnants of AIM, like it's an organization that was basically like the antagonist of the not the MCU, the Marvel universe in and of itself. But the real kicker is who is actually in control of AIM right now. It's MODOK. If you guys don't know who MODOK is, he's a Marvel villain. And he's basically like a living computer in a sense, where the MODOK is an acronym. The name MODOK is an acronym. I'm not really going to go in depth because it's not really a MODOK story. It's a Maestro story. So let's get back to Maestro. We find out by MODOK that human race basically destroyed itself with nuclear warfare, constant war, constant hatred, and everything like that. And as he's explaining this, Banner starts to kind of drift away from reality in a sense and starts to see humanity for what it really is. And I don't know if it's the radiation or if it's just him finally figuring it out, but humanity is just full of terrible people and they really just need to be governed in a sense or need to be taken control of. And that's basically where the first issue cuts off. We start to see Banner drift off into becoming Maestro and becoming this crazy person who just wants to control people in a sense. The next few issues I'm gonna kind of skim over in a sense. So let's get into it. We find Banner just roaming around the country. He's absorbing radiation because all the land's being filled with radiation because of the nuclear fallout and everything like that. He passes out, finds himself in a campsite where he sees a city. Basically, the city is run by a person called Maestro. And here's the thing: Hulk right now is not Maestro. He becomes Maestro. So I'm thinking that whoever this Maestro guy is, Hulk's gonna kill him. He's gonna kill him, whether involuntary, whether voluntary completely, or he's just gonna die off somewhere else. Some way, somehow, Hulk is gonna become Maestro through this. And so Hulk travels to the city. He meets all the people there. They're all normal people, regular people. You kind of see like Hulk's thinking like, oh, maybe humanity deserves another chance. Then out comes a servant dressed in all clad and everything like that. Typical servant wear robes, like big old hats and everything like that. I think he's a bishop. I'm gonna call him a bishop. This bishop comes in and asks Hulk who he is, and he says, "My name is Hulk, also known as Dr. Banner, also known as the Hulk, yada yada yada." And just as the bishop confirms this, he receives a message saying, "Bring him to my castle, my citadel, by whatever you want to call it." And we find out this Maestro is none other than Hercules. Hercules is an actual person that exists in the Marvel universe. Now, Hercules is literally one of the few surviving heroes left, and that's all I can say. Like, he's the ruler of this city. He gets whatever he wants. He gets women, money, food, all the top tier quality of everything like that. He tries to catch up with Hulk, and Hulk, while in the middle of catching up, Hercules punches him across the face, and Hulk goes flying. Legit, he goes flying. And I'm just thinking like, what the fuck just happened? Y'all were being buddies for a second. What the hell? And Hercules basically just says, "Oh, I'm sorry, Bruce. I just haven't had a good fight in a long time." It makes sense in it, really. Like, think about it. You're this super powerful being. You're basically a demigod. Wait, what? He is a demigod. My bad. You're a demigod, and you're ruling over all these humans. But there's one thing you can't have: a good old fashioned fight. Now, being a hero and a demigod, you live to fight. That's basically all it is. Sure, you could regrow civilization. Sure, you could govern people. But all in all, if you're a hero, demigod, or whatever the hell you want to fight. There's just that innate nature in you that you want to fight. So as they're going back and forth, Hulk starts hitting Hercules. Hercules hit back, and Hercules starts bantering with Hulk, evidently just smashing him through a tunnel, where Hulk finds another person, a female, who leads him to an underground bunker. Now, this bunker is owned by Rick Jones. Rick Jones is an old friend of Bruce Banner, of the Hulk. In a sense, he literally became somewhat of a Hulk throughout history. I don't really know that much about Rick Jones because I'm not the biggest Hulk fan there is, but I love the character in and of itself. So he meets with Rick Jones, and Rick Jones Literally has trophies galore of all superhero memorabilia. He has Wolverine's skeleton, Captain America's shield, freaking Silver Surfer surfboard. This dude has the ultimate nullifier. If you guys don't know what the ultimate nullifier is, that thing made Galactus ship bricks. Galactus, eater of worlds, a transdimensional being, wielder of the power cosmic. That thing made Rick Jones has that, and that's literally all there is to it. He's also like Spider-Man mask, Cyclops goggles, all the other good stuff. Like he literally has everything there. That's all he has. Every piece of dead hero memorabilia he has there because all the heroes died throughout the war. So there's a bit of retconning there, or maybe a misconception, or maybe just a story that Maestro in the future told that he killed every single hero there was. In reality, it was just common warfare and humanity. That's really it. They're catching up. Rick Jones and Banner are catching up, being old friends and everything like that. It gets to a point where Hulk starts to say, no, humans need to be governed. Humans need to be treated like cattle. In a sense, they need to be ruled with an iron fist because if they're eventually set to roam free, all that will lead to is destruction. Rick Jones tries to appeal on the humanity within Banner. That doesn't work, and Banner ends up going to Alchemex. My bad, Alchemex laboratory. It's another off-brand laboratory, secret government stuff and everything like that. That's actually Alchemex is actually the reason Miles Morales became Spider-Man. Like one of the Alchemist's spiders got loose and bit Miles Morales. A little tidbit right there. He finds he's in the Alchemex laboratory and he sees a tunnel or hallway actually that goes either lab experience and lab rats. He goes to the lab rats and sees a whole bunch of humans right there, just literally living in vats. Like I'm not really gonna call them humans per se, but they're more like maybe just flesh beings. Oh, flesh beings. So yeah, that's basically what they are in a sense, or what the comic is trying to give it off. So as he's cracking his knuckles, Hulk says, well, time to get to work. Cut to a few months later, Hulk stands over the city. I'm going to call it New Haven from now on. It's probably not the name of it, but I'm calling it that either way. He stands over New Haven and gives a whole speech of saying, come with me and I shall lead you to salvation. With me, you shall never be hungry. You shall never go starve. You shall never suffer anymore. You don't have to live in the tyranny of Hercules, or Maestro as you call him. And as he's saying this, he's trying to get people to rally towards him in a sense. And all the people are like, why should we go with you? Well, who's to say that you're not going to treat us the same way? And all that other stuff. They're all doubting him and everything like that. And as Hulk's realizing that they can't be turned this way, that he's basically saying, fine, suit yourself. And the next panel shows a whole bunch of animal type things that he calls as war dogs. And he sends them on to the people saying, sick 'em. And literally, it's literally mind-boggling of how fast he's actually turning into the Maestro, but it's actually amazing pacing of how he's actually turning into the Maestro. Like you go from first issue, he's starting to lose faith in humanity, up to the end of the issue where he actually is losing faith in humanity. Cut back to another issue where he's somewhat regaining his faith in humanity as he's seeing the cities like New Haven and the old camp outside New Haven where people are living peacefully and everything like that. But then cut back to inside the New Haven where you see people like Hercules just treating people like shit in a sense, and they're all suffering and groveling in a sense. It doesn't really go into detail saying people are suffering or anything like that. Just mainly like it's mostly implied in a sense, like you could tell like the radiation is kind of messing with Banner's perception of reality and really. And then you have this confrontation with Rick Jones saying humanity deserves to be free, while Hulk is saying no, humanity needs to be cattle. Anyways, next issue goes as follows, where we see Hercules is actually fighting off some of the war dogs, and it ends with a whole sense of another rematch with Hulk and Maestro Hercules saying, and freaking Hercules just taunting Banner at this point, saying, "You know what your flaw is, Banner? You never had that killer instinct or something like that. You never had that actual will to fight. That brain of yours always held you back. You never really had it in you to fight a person full on out. You always held back your strength." And honestly, it's true. No matter how hard the Hulk pushes, Banner's always there to hold the Hulk back, and just not full out. The only chance we ever seen the Hulk go full out is Worldbreaker Hulk. Worldbreaker Hulk is a beast atop of a beast. Honestly, literally, the name gives it a Worldbreaker Hulk. He literally has the power to break worlds in the universe. And I'm just like, yep, that's true. As this fight continues, we see Banner's actually losing the fight. And we see Banner saying, "You're right. I was never strong enough to actually let the Hulk go full out or let myself go full out. I was held back, and you're right. I will serve you, in a sense. Hercules says, "All is good, my friend. Now come with me. Let's get you cleaned up, and let's get you a fine lady, and let's get you relaxed." Hulk goes, "I'm sorry, Hercules. I must make amends for my sins against you. I will drift off and come back when the time is right." Hercules agrees. Then we cut to a little side panel where Rick Jones is viewing the whole thing because he has secret cameras all over New Haven, courtesy of his granddaughter. I forget his granddaughter's name, or his daughter actually. His daughter or his granddaughter. I'm legit blanking for a second. I have no idea why. But yeah, we see that Rick Jones could see through the facade where Hulk isn't really done with Hercules Maestro, in a sense, saying like, you know how Banner's dad used to abuse him, and how his dad ended up being crazy. He's saying this to his daughter. Well, there's an old saying that sons end up becoming the fathers, and right now we're witnessing the transition from Banner going into his father. Literally, that just honestly that's scary. That is really scary. I'm not gonna lie, that is frightening. Because if that's true, and we know it already is true, which is even more frightening in a sense because there's nothing really they could do about it. But Banner's dad was a horrible person. He beat both Banner and his wife. He legit saw his own son as a monster, and was one of the main reasons as to why Banner would literally later become the Hulk, because Banner developed a separate personality where he would act out in rage, and that turned into the Hulk once he was exposed to gamma radiation. So literally, if it wasn't for how cruel Banner's father treated him, then we wouldn't have gotten the Hulk. We wouldn't have gotten Maestro, in a sense. So just let that be in perspective. So yeah, so on and so forth. Maestro ends up coming back. He brings a girl of his own as a peacemaking gift to Hercules. She ends up being an old villain of everyone, and she's able to turn into mist. She's able to turn into any chemical she wants to, in a sense. As Banner explained, she never really had that killer instinct, because she was always more so about getting money, getting power, and everything like that. But she never wanted to kill anyone. But due to quote unquote persuasion by Hulk, she ended up turning into a poisonous gas, killing Hercules Maestro. I don't know why I can't say that name right. Hercules Maestro. Yeah, she ends up killing Hercules Maestro. And as she's leaving the body, reforming into her physical form, Banner pops out a freeze gun, freezes her, and shatters her, and makes it seem like someone assassinated Hercules Maestro. And then he ends up, and as that issue ends, we see that Hulk is starting to take up the position of Maestro. So, cut to the final issue of this 5-part story. I know I haven't been naming every single issue and just saying issue, but I mean, come on, it's a whole continuous story that really just needs to be read all at once. Really, it was kind of, I don't want to say torture in a sense, like having everyone wait a month or more so to see just the next issue, but I also get why they do that, to just build up hype for the next issue. Anyway, back to the story. We see a funeral for Maestro Hercules as Banner walks in front of what is it called? Cascade? No, it's not Cascade. Casket. My bad. Cascade. Why am I thinking of cleaning products? Anyways, so yeah, he's walking in front of the casket, and as he's about to bury Hercules, he pops up from the dead on fire. Literally, Maestro Hercules is on fire, and I'm just as shocked as Hulk is, and he's literally saying, "How are you back? How are you back? I killed you. How are you back?" And as they're fighting again for the third time, Hercules says, "Oh, Hades is doing me a favor. They may not last as long, but at least I'm taking you with me." And as this fight goes on, we see that Rick Jones's daughter is getting ready to fight Hulk with a gun that's specially designed to hurt beings like the Hulk. And they only have about one shot, I think, or a shot until it needs to recharge. Anyway, so on and so forth. As panic ensues throughout the city of New Haven, the whole fight escalates to the point where Rick Jones's daughter is knocked off. The gun goes flying somewhere, and we see Maestro Hercules lift the Hulk up by his throat. I don't know why I forgot the word. By his throat, and as he's about to sit, nearly finding killing blow, we see boom, a shot of light just go straight through Hercules' body, and it turns out to be the Bishop. Bishop picked up the gun, shot his old master in the chest, and now Hercules is dead forever. He's not coming back. No more Hades. No more any more comic book BS about resurrection or anything like that. Hercules is dead, and so is officially the last actual hero of this universe, of this world, in a sense. And the bishop goes, I never liked him anyways. I am here to serve you, Hulk. And the Hulk says, my name is not Hulk anymore. From now on, call me Maestro. And that's where it ends. That's literally how the Hulk, how Banner got from himself to the Hulk to Maestro. There's a little epilogue saying where Maestro has some unfinished business to attend to, and he goes to Rick Jones's underground facility, and we find that it's empty. Rick Jones fled the scene with his daughter, and he left a video recording stating that, Hulk, you really disappoint me. I thought there'd be some good left in you. I thought you wouldn't let this power go to your head. I thought you were better than that. As Rick Jones is finished saying this, Maestro goes, what are you talking about? You were once like me. You once had this power. Don't you ever wish that you had it back? And then as he's saying this, Rick Jones says something on the line saying, no, I don't wish I had this power, and I don't want it. I never want to have it anymore. And that's literally all there is. So yeah, though he ends up blowing up the bunker trying to kill Hulk in a last ditch effort. That obviously doesn't work because, well, Hulk is Hulk. And so yeah, he ends up being Maestro, and we finally get the conclusion to the origin of Peter David's and George Perez's character, the Maestro. Honestly, this was actually kind of an interesting one. I didn't really fully expect to enjoy this character because there was such a time gap between the original conception of the Maestro character and his origin. But I will give it this: the storytelling was on par with every other storytelling that there is. It's not as good as Old Man Logan or anything like that. It's not as good as House of M or anything like that. But it's better than other stuff that's been put out by Marvel. Art style obviously is phenomenal. I'm gonna give that A+ for execution, A+ for effort, and everything like that, and so on and so forth. I will say though that the pacing of the comic is kind of like up and down in a sense. Like there are times where the pacing is just right, where you see the slow transition between the Maestro personality and Hulk's personality, like being overshadowed in a sense. But then there's instances where you think like, wait, what's going on? How is he getting from this to this so quick? Like, I mean, there's kind of like times where this needs to be fleshed out a bit more. Well, I mean, it's a 5-issue series, and like you need to like space it out as best as you can. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, saying that yeah, that's fine. So yeah, all in all, this was a very interesting read, and I'm really hoping. Well, I'm hopeful to see where this goes in the future. I want to see more interactions with the Maestro, because now I know that this is a character that I really want to get behind. So yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode. Like I said before, if you guys like the video, you already know what to do. If you guys don't like it, if not, everything's for everyone. Any questions, comments, concerns, you already know what to do with them. Any other way you want to get in touch with me, all that's gonna be in the description. As always, share the video, even if you don't like it, just share it. I mean, it's not that hard, but a few button pushes here and there, and you're done. Yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. I'll see you guys later. Bye.